All right, guys, here we are again with our next video. So we are moving on to chapter 8. So this page right here that I have pulled up is your most important page for chapter 8. Chapter 8 is very formula intensive, and the back of chapter 8 in your ebook has all of the formulas right here that you're going to need. So you might want to even maybe print this page off or write these formulas down, because this is everything that you're going to need to be able to do your homework and be prepared for your test. So I'm going to skip back now to the beginning of chapter 8, and we're just going to talk about it a little bit, but again, everything is going to be using those formulas. So chapter 8 is about markup and markdown. So when we are trying to determine how much we want to sell our product or good on, we need to think about how much we want to have it marked up. So when we are thinking about our expenses, we have to think about our cost of goods sold. So as a manufacturer, this is going to be the cost that it took to produce the product. So nothing else involved in it, just what was the cost to make that item. To a wholesaler or a retailer, it's how much did we pay for that item. So what did I buy that item from? If I sell that item then to the consumer at that cost of goods sold, I'm not making any money. I'm also probably losing money because I have other expenses known as my operating expenses or my overhead. So everything else that's going into operating my business, such as electricity, water, labor, that wasn't in the cost of purchasing the item that I'm trying to sell. So I have to think about that. I also have to make sure my price is going to be attractive to potential customers and that I have enough money to cover my expenses and have a leftover reasonable profit. So that's where we're going to come in with our markup. So the majority of the time, our markup is going to be based on that cost of goods sold. So here we have some other formulas. Again, all of these formulas that we're going to talk about can be found on that page at the back of chapter 8 in your ebook. Very important page. You don't want to try to do your homework without having that page with you. So first of all, the selling price, what we're going to sell our product to the consumer is going to be whatever the cost of our good sold was, what we paid for it, plus what our markup is going to be. So they're going to use some abbreviations. So SP is selling price, M is markup, C is cost. So for example, if a camera cost a retailer $60 and we had a $50 markup added to it to cover our operating expenses and profit, the selling price of the camera would be $110. $60 cost, $50 markup, $110 selling price. All right, we can also rearrange this like we did in chapter 5 where we switch things around. So if we wanted to find our markup, we could take the selling price minus cost, again, just redistributing that equation to find what we're looking for. Same thing, if the cost is the unknown, we can find the cost by doing the selling price minus markup. All of these are on that formula page. So here's some examples. We just went through one kind of like this. So if the gift shop pays $8 for a picture frame, its markup is $6.50 is added. What is the selling price? Selling price is cost plus markup. So our selling price would be $14.50. Again, I always suggest going in and trying these try it exercises in your book as well. All right, we can also calculate percent markup based on cost. So what was the percent markup? So this formula again is on that formula page in the back. Percent markup based on cost is whatever the markup was divided by the cost. This is that initial formula we saw in the beginning of the class. Rate equals portion divided by base. We're going to use this formula so many times and it pertains to so many different things. So percent markup based on cost, markup what the portion was divided by the cost. So example 4, we've got these people who make stainless steel sinks that cost $56 each. Sinks are sold to distributors at $89.60. What are the amount of the markup and percent markup based on cost? So the first thing we need to do is find the markup. Selling price minus cost. So we're selling it for $89.60. It cost us $56. The markup is $33.60. Then to find, okay, well, what was the percent of our markup based on the cost of that item? We take the $33.60 markup divided by the cost, the $56. So we had a 0.6 or a 60% markup based on cost. So all of these formulas are going to be used to basically solve what we're looking for. We can manipulate them, move them around for the unknown. All right, we can calculate the selling price when the cost and percent markup are known. So selling price equals cost plus markup. So selling price is going to be 100% of the item for the cost plus the 30% markup. So we can find the selling price. It's going to be 130% of the cost. So that's one way that we could do that. So if we had a wallet that costs $50 to produce, the manufacturer wants a 70% markup based on cost. How much do we want to sell this wallet for? So we have the cost is $50 times the 100 plus the 70% markup. Again, the 100 means because we're going to include 100% of that cost. So 170% is what the selling price is going to be. $50 times the 1.7. Remember, always convert your percents to decimals. So we're going to sell this wallet for $85. All right, we can calculate cost when selling price and percent are known. So again, we're basically just plugging into these formulas. Cost is selling price divided by 100% plus percent markup on cost. All these formulas are on that page I told you about. So we're just using the formula that they're asking for, plugging in and solving. So it tells us that we've got a blouse that sells for $66. We have a 50% markup based on cost. What is the cost of the blouse? So selling price, $66. We have divided by 100% plus the percent markup. So 100% plus the 50% markup. We get 66 divided by 150, convert our percent to a decimal. 66 divided by 1.5. So the cost on that blouse was $44. So you can use your different numbers, your different formulas to find what your missing piece is. All right, then your book just has some review exercises. These are great to go in and practice, again, especially when we have a test coming up, and if you want to go back in and have some extra review, these are some great exercises. All right, sometimes, so we just did in section 1, we calculated our markup as a percentage of the cost of the item. So the cost was the base, which was 100%. So this method is going to be used a lot by manufacturers and wholesalers. In this section, we're going to talk about markup based on a percentage of the selling price. So the selling price is going to be the base and represent. So this is a lot of times used by most retailers because most retail stores are going to record this and keep their statistics in sales dollars. So again, when we make it based off of cost, that's mainly manufacturers and wholesalers. Retailers a lot of times are going to deal with, okay, what is the selling price? Because that's what's important to them. What did they end up selling it for? Everything revolves around that. So just like we did in the last section, and the problems will tell you if the markup is based on cost or if the markup is based on selling price. We just have a set of formulas for these. So markup based on selling price is the markup divided by selling price, whereas before it was divided by cost. So now we're just going through, everything is revolving around, okay, how much are we going to sell it for? That's what's important to the retailers. So we've got Quality Hardware and Garden Supply purchases electric drills for $60 each. If it sells the drills for $125, what is the amount of markup and what is the percent markup based on selling price? So we go back to that original markup formula, selling price minus cost. So our selling price is $125, cost is $60, so we marked this up $65. And then to find our percent markup based on selling price, it's the markup divided by selling price. Marked it up $65, selling price $120. Part divided by whole gives us the rate, so 52%. So the rest of the chapter just, again, reuses those formulas, but now everything is based on selling price. I'm going to skip back to that important page. Let's see, it's towards the end of the chapter. Here's our review problems with the selling price. Here we go. So at the very end of chapter 8, you have these formulas. So we've got our markup formulas. We've got if we were to mark down our markdown formulas. And they also have some problems that involve if you have anything perishable. So if you think about like a grocery store, they're going to have some perishables involved. So you have to take into account spoilage as well with that. So these formulas should be able to get you through everything that you need to do with your Chapter 8 homework. As always, if you have any questions with this, do not hesitate to ask.